Yo, what is good, guys? This is Mark Villa, just giving you a quick update. I've been asked a bit on how do you start with producing? How do I begin producing? Where should I learn from? How should I go about it? All this and all that. And I want to keep it really simple for you guys on how you can actually learn to produce. So, the very first thing I would say is figure out what kind of genre you want to make music on, right? Because maybe you want to make hip hop or rap, maybe you want to make house music or EDM, or maybe you want to make some indie music, alternative, whatever it is. Find exactly what genre you want to do, because you're going to be making an investment. If you're actually serious about this, you're going to be making an investment in learning the software or the DAW, whatever, digital audio workstation, whatever software you're going to use to make music. You're going to spend time on that. So might as well pick the right one, right? For example, I chose FL Studio because I thought I wanted to make trap beats. And that didn't really last long. That was like 2 months, and thankfully it was only 2 or 3 months. Actually, it was probably longer, like 6 months. But I switched to Ableton because I realized house music, electronic music, techno, all that stuff is the genre I want to be at. And the majority of people are in that genre already in the EDM scene. So might as well learn the skill that people they know also, so you can do collaborations. So first, pick the DAW. Pick the software you want to use, because you're going to be using this long term if you want to get good at it. Number 2, I would highly encourage you to learn how a synthesizer works. How do you use a synthesizer, right? I went the extra step and bought a synthesizer. I bought the Microkorg, which is probably more complicated synthesizer to buy because there's a bunch of menu diving you have to do. So I highly encourage getting a synthesizer, a subtractive synthesizer that has all the buttons there already. Because majority of EDM music, house music, techno, all revolves knowing how to use a synthesizer, right? How do I use a synthesizer? A majority of it, you want to know how to use, like filters, envelopes, all that stuff. You want to understand how to use it. So I would suggest that you spend time investing in a synthesizer. But if you don't have the money, get a free one. Get a Vital Synth is a good one to start. It's actually a very good one. I still use Vital Synth. It's a free one that you can get, and you can get it without the DAW, I think. So learn how to use a synthesizer so you know how to synthesize your own sounds and make the sounds, right? How it works, because majority of EDM, you want control of that stuff. And then, I'll get back to why you want to use synthesizers. But the next point, number 3, is learn how to make breaks and drops. I prioritize drops. Learn how to make drops, and then learn how to make breaks. So what do I mean by that? Learn how to cultivate that energy. So listen to your favorite house track or favorite tech house track, right? Listen to right before it drops, listen to how the energy is built. There's a snare roll, there's a riser, the snare roll, all that stuff. There's so many, in the reverb and the synthesizer and the pads and the vocals repeating, whoa, 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 whoa. Listen to how the technique they're using. Listen to these elements and try to replicate that. Give it a go, replicate it, right? Learn how to build those drops, move that energy really high up, and then drop it right. And then learn how to do the breaks, right? When there's a kick and all that, doom, 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 and then all of a sudden it just chills, and then there's a break. Learn how to do that. Highly recommend that. Learn how to do those, because in between it's just filler, guys. Just a kick in the hi-hat, right? That's all it is in between. The most important parts are the drops and the breaks. In between is just repeats. It just repeats. So learn to do that, and the best way is to listen to a lot of those drops. Listen to your best mixes, your best house or techno mixes or whatever it is. Listen to how it builds and listen to how it breaks, and learn how to do that. And back to the synthesizer point, like I said, the reason I suggest learning how to use a synthesizer is you can use that to build your drops, right? When you know how to use the arpeggiator, you know, you build that up. Or you know how to open the filter where it's like, it just opens up the sound frequencies higher up in the spectrum with a filter. Learn how to use that, because then you can make your own synthesizer sounds and then you can apply it to the drops. The reason why I say to learn synthesizers first is to understand it. Because there's samples, guys. You can use samples. You can use sample synthesizers. You can use samples for everything. You can sample kicks, sample hi-hats. But the problem with that, and you know what? Hi-hats, I'll let that go. You can use samples for that, and kicks. The only thing I would say to learn to use without samples is building the synthesizer part, like the bass line, the leads, the pads. Learn to build that from scratch. Because when you use a loop, you have to chop it up. You can't control a lot of the intricacies of a filter that make a good track, right? So highly recommend learning the synthesizer first before getting synthesizer samples. I'm cool with you getting samples from kicks, hi-hats, claps. That's cool. But synthesizer sound itself, I would recommend building that first, understanding how it works, and then you can maybe get some loops for synthesizers. Right, so that's kind of the process I would go about, and in learning to produce. So hope you guys found that useful, and leave a comment if you guys want to know more on how to get started producing. So I'll catch you guys in the future. Peace.